like a disease, any of us could be next.
I want to tell you a story.
Hello.
Hi, Albert. Nice to meet you.
Hello. Nice to meet you too. How you guys doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Going all right.
All right. Well, I gotta tell you, Monolith surprised me because I do like the little fact that we're now getting a trend where the protagonist is either like a podcaster or a YouTuber looking for redemption. But the fact that you did something fresh with it really made it work.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's not surprising those stories are happening, right? It's so become a part of the texture of how we communicate with each other. Like, and I think you're right to compare it to like YouTubers and stuff. I'm like, I watch YouTube quite a lot, and I find it so fascinating. One of the films I'm working on at the moment is about like loosely about like an influencer and what that kind of power means. It's so fascinating, isn't it? And
Yeah.
but yeah, you got to find an angle into it. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
So my first question is for you, Matt. What led you to direct the film?
So the film was developed in a lab here in South Australia, where I'm from. So it was called the Film Lab New Voices program, and it was designed to give first-time feature filmmakers a way to make their first feature. You applied as a team, so I applied with the writer Lucy Campbell and the producer Bettina Hamilton. We didn't have much. The idea was that if you get through this year of development on a script, you'll get a production budget, but it's going to be small. Like, you're going to know that you're going to have restricted means. And so we went in with these like 3 like half-page ideas, one of which eventually became Monolith. But they were all sort of like films that had a methodology to them, like that allowed them to be made for a small budget, but also was really wrapped into the story. And so somehow the story would benefit from that. That was like more interesting or more unique because of that. So this idea of like, essentially the idea was just, can you do an alien invasion story with one actor? Like, that was the genesis of that idea. And we sort of built the film up from there, finding pieces and breaking the story. And Lucy went off and wrote a script, which when we got the first draft back was this relieving moment of like, oh, I think it might work. I think this is going to be good. Okay, cool. So that was really it. Like, it was really birthed from that one very simple challenge to find a way that we could, as first-time filmmakers, make a film that was not going to be hampered by its restrictions, but made more interesting or more unique because of them, that thematically and narratively and the character and the production methodology, they're all wedded together to kind of drive towards something. It's not like, okay, I've written a $25 million movie, but I'm going to make it for nothing on the weekend. It was like, okay, now we're going to like build something from the ground up that's going to fit this model and hopefully be exciting for it.
That's awesome. And my next question's for Lily. First of all, you're awesome in Evil Dead Rise. So I'm just getting that one out of the way right now.
Okay. Thank you.
And so my next question is, what was it like to play the interviewer, whose name I felt like, because you're going down the rabbit hole, your name might as well have been Alice, and the home is your wonderland. That's what I was thinking. And so what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was after doing Evil Dead as well. It was the ultimate palate cleanse. And it was a wild experience. It was definitely a once in a lifetime. Stripping back, again, one location, one person, terrifying the thought of it, and removing any other actor and that sort of support in that sense. It felt at points overwhelming, but such a gift now looking back at it. And once I read the script, because Lucy Campbell wrote, and Matt and Bettina, knowing that they had to play by the rules of the restrictions of this budget and shooting a film in 15 days, and instead of fitting it into their budget to kind of develop a high conceptual piece from that up, and it was such a great read and scared the hell out of me. So felt like it was the right thing to do, and also to go from like Evil Dead and to kind of still be able to have that residue of being able to carbonate fear and be able to sit in that fight or flight that felt so familiar, and the physicality, which is just so fun. But then to also have more lines than just come get some, just a few more.
Oh, exactly. That's what I felt like. I felt like she was an Evil Dead. It was like Evil Dead Rise minus all the zombies, but still had that trepidation of what's going on. Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. You did show us photos on while we were shooting. Though, of like, oh, hey, check this out. This is a photo of me like in an elevator full of blood, and it was like, oh yeah, well, we won't be doing something quite like that. We don't quite have that.
We'd be equally challenged, if not more. Felt more challenged, more scared. It was, wow.
That's cool. And one thing I found intriguing was when you watch these alien invasion films, they always leave like signs like somewhere in like a field and I like the fact that you did something different using bricks. But how did that idea come about? Using bricks as the metaphor for the aliens or the signal for the aliens.
Well, that was Lucy, the writer, kind of like, so when we were doing this lab, we kind of had this intense first week where we're all the three of us together, and each day we're like we're literally building from nothing. As I say, like a half-page sort of sketch of an idea, trying to build into a story. And by the end of that week, I think we had like, a 4 or 5 page document that outlined roughly what is the film. And like, I remember there was one night where we were like, okay, so it's like some kind of she's got to have some kind of conspiracy that could be real, that might not be real. She's investigating that, like. And it's going to lead here. We know roughly where it's going to lead. All right, Luce, go away and like see what you can come up with. And she came back with this idea of bricks. I remember reading it. And like it's a strange word, black bricks. Like that, it sounds odd, and I didn't know whether it was good but I just sort of was like intrigued by it. And I just kind of was like, all right, let's just sit with that and like see where that goes. I think the important thing for Lucy, and then one of the reasons she sort of came up with that, is that it's very personal. And so instead of like it being this kind of world-altering event that starts on a macro level, that's like arrival or signs or whatever, like kind of big, crop circles or huge ships or whatever, that it starts from a very personal place, that it's very internal, and it's really about people confronting their guilt, or they find this object that seems to kind of represent some sort of pain in their life. It feels very intimate to them. It feels like something that it's like their own, they kind of own it and they have to protect it. There's this kind of very personal thing to it. And I think that was super important to Lucy, that there was an intimacy to it, an emotional kind of backstory to all of these things, because we're dealing with a film that's very much about people and very internal and has a kind of intimacy to it. I think that was important to kind of combine those two things. And obviously we sort of imply much bigger things as well. There's this hint of like, oh, could be a much bigger invasion, but starting from a personal place was really important.
That's interesting. And back to Lucy, I mean, you were definitely like the only person in this location, and then everyone else basically did their, called you up and do that. What was it like showing that emotion to only through phone calls compared to being in an environment where you have multiple actors in front of you?
Yeah, it was an experience. Having the noise cancelling headphones, we had the live feed as well. It was one actor, and Nathan, who was playing all of the characters, but still live. So it's just had room to breathe and to kind of follow instincts and impulses. But Lucy's dialogue was just so tight and so great and so informative. I think when you are having to listen or conduct an interview, it was easy dialogue to be guided by and to learn as well, which is always such a sign of good writing, when you just weirdly your brain just kind of like syncs with it quite quickly. But yeah, it's so bizarre to remove other actors. I was saying earlier, it's like another language. It's like explores the subtext. It's like you're watching people's sort of truth shine through in moments when they're lying. But whereas when you just have the audio, your imagination kind of gets imprinted on them. Like obviously we project onto one another, but when you take away someone's physical body, when you just leave their voice, it's your imagination far more than actually them as a person. It becomes much more of a self-centered interaction in a way.
Yeah, I feel like in a way it could have been like, what if there were aliens actually contacting you, and how would what your reaction would be to that? Like that's what I was getting through. This is not only the black bricks, but as the film kept going on, I kept wondering when people were talking to you. I was like, it makes me start to question: are they actually real, or there's something else? And you brought out that emotional performance in it, and I think that's what really drives the film.
Yeah, there were moments I remember with Matt and like in the script where it was just like, okay, here's a moment where the vision is actually making you sick. Let's play with it where it's like when they're talking about it, it's having an effect to your body, to your mind. Like you feel like there's some sort of infiltration. It's like, and then whether you do a take then that doesn't feel like that so much, or you don't indulge in that. And then you in the edit got to play with what levels of feeling like that formation inside the stomach or whatever it, whatever you think with the forming of the brick or the birthing of whatever.
And your experience that you explain of how you felt about the film is that's really gratifying to hear, because that's really the point of it too. We talked about whether there would be video calls ever and you'd see the person she's talking to. And the reason we didn't, and Lucy, the writer, talks about this quite a lot, but like the reason that we didn't is for that exact feeling that you're having of not being able to trust who's on the other end of the line. It's like, am I listening? Is that actually who I'm talking to? And like, are they telling me the truth, or are they spinning a tale, or is it something else other entirely? And I think that kind of feeling like there's a world outside that we can't see is exciting. Yeah.
I think it works better because it really, in a way, it really brings out the emotional effect of the film. People might see it and see it's just like they might find it like, oh, it's a one single person, single location film. They're gonna find it kind of like slow. Maybe it's not gonna be convincing. But once you add that element of audio in there, it makes even the viewer's imagination starts to run through their heads. I think that's what, and combined with Lily's amazing performance, I think it really enhances the film, in my opinion.
I'm glad you feel that way. Yeah, that is totally the hope and the aim, and so I'm glad that it worked. Yeah.
So how long did shooting take? And did you face, considering this is a single person film and all, were there any challenges that you faced during production?
We shot for 15 days with Lily. So like three 5-day weeks. And then we had one other day where we did some of the kind of B-roll kind of stuff, just the crew. It's weirdly like, that sounds like not very long, but again, because we knew probably before we wrote the script, that's probably how long we'd have. So we're making a lot of choices to kind of give ourselves that freedom. There's a lot of kind of long scenes. The way the shot is in these kind of long takes that let Lily kind of just embed herself in the performance. And it means that we never like rushed. It was actually like quite a chill. I don't think it was chill for Lily. She probably experienced it differently.
So
Quite a
funny.
chill set, like the set was calm and like there was no rushing around. It was like, it felt very relaxed in many ways. And that was all just about being really carefully planning like how we're going to do it, so we didn't feel rushed. And so for me as a director, like only having one actor is it's a challenge in terms creatively challenging, but logistically it's really freeing. And it was like I could just have this relationship with Lily and not have to worry about really anything else, just like figure that out and work out how to do it. I mean, for you, Lil, I guess we tried to support her as well. We shot roughly in chronological order. We tried to do only one big conversation a day, like not make Lily talk all day, maybe do half a day of talking and half a day of other stuff, and really just support her through, give her whatever she needed to feel isolated or alone or in control of whatever she wanted. But I guess you could speak, Lily, to like how doing that 15 days, like kind of, I mean, it drove you a bit mad as well, right?
And that's just also because I think, you're doing the work, you're presenting, but then also there's just like your own wild inner monologue. So you're just like, and then when you're being filmed through all of that, it just becomes, it wasn't the exterior world. It wasn't so much. I think just having a camera on you for that long and kind of descending into madness and kind of exploring and listening and stripping back and having noise canceling headphones, you're just like, it was quite a sensory experience, and not changing locations. So there was just a lot of things that kind of weirdly would kind of slowly send you mad, I think, in a way.
And I think I'd encourage anyone who watches the film to revel in Lily's performance when she's just listening. I think it's obviously you concentrate on when she's doing something emotional or talking or whatever, but watching Lily listen is incredibly captivating. And it's so important because there's a lot of it. She's like, there's a lot of the other side of the call, but you really like sink into her eyes and like you can see her like trying to understand or make decisions as she's like listening. And that's a really, I kind of wasn't even aware in pre-production until we were on set of how important that would be, of like, we were doing a take where we were just listening listening to her. We had a real close up, really tight on her eyes and mouth, like she was kind of the half of her face, listening to Klaus, the art collector, and watching her kind of shift in her seat, feel uncomfortable, feel like listen to that story was so important to the film. So it's like it's a really unique. I think that's quite a unique thing about this film. Is like those quiet moments. Yeah.
Yeah. Sitting back.
Yeah, and I also feel like you're gonna as you're watching Lily, you know, listen to everything. It channels also the viewer like in their imagination, like it's gonna make you wonder what she's thinking, and maybe hopefully you'll be in sync and realize you get it, like you're gonna get what she's thinking, and that's why this film works.
And listen to the story. It's like we were talking to someone as well who watched the film with headphones on and watched it and got to experience the audio experience. You don't see it on the big screen. But yeah, having headphones, it's like, and then you're listening to the stories and you're almost like mimicking, like some people like mimicking my face, like in a way, as you're listening, you're just kind of like weirdly, as you hold on the one person, it's like there's an odd mirror moment that I feel like this film kind of offers as well.
And we hope that's what's exciting about it, right? It's like a big it is a fun sci-fi like thriller, but told in this really interesting way, and then hopefully like is something you haven't quite seen before, I guess, or heard before.
Yeah, exactly how I feel about this film. I mean, it's something fresh to that whole influencer, podcaster, social media star looking for redemption genre, which is getting big now, where everyone's doing it differently. But this is something fresh, and this is what I really liked about it. Like it brings something new to the table, like not the same old ho hum where it's next, you know, it's live. They're live streaming the movie. You know, you didn't have to resort to that, which is a good thing. You know, but you did something amazingly with this. And the fact that it relies more on audio in a way, I think really helps as well.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad it worked for you. Yeah.
So with that said, what's next for the two of you? Are there any new projects on the horizon that you can talk about?
Unfortunately for me, it's the boring old can't say anything. So boring.
We're just really early in development on some new stuff. So the Monolith team, in the same way that the three of us kind of collaborated to make this film, we're trying to replicate that process. We really enjoyed working together on that. So we're writing a new kind of cosmic horror, science fiction, kind of broader. It's similar thematically, but kind of on a bigger scale at the moment that Lucy's writing. And then I've been writing some stuff myself that's got sort of some thematic resonances. So yeah, it's early days, but I can't wait to make something again. I think I think the big takeaway from Monolith is we really enjoyed working in that space of that genre and that tone and that suspense. And so those things will carry through, I think, to the next project.
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm a bit addicted to it for sure.
Yeah, and Lily, I hope to see you again in another horror movie. I don't know, you just tend to be a fantastic genre actress now. You know, you got sci-fi and horror. I think this is where you gotta be from here on out. I don't, but you never know. You might do another genre film, and I'd be all for it.
It's weirdly my comfort zone. I never thought I'd say that. I'm like, yeah, I feel like it's more daunting putting on a corset and being in a period piece than revving a chainsaw, or not that I can say what happens in Monolith, but
yep.
Yeah, really comfortable.
Well, everyone check out Monolith on February 16th when it hits theaters. You guys got to see this movie. It brings something brand new and fresh to the whole genre. And Matt and Lily, thank you so much again for taking the time to talk about it.
Thanks, Albert.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. Well, you guys take care. Have a good day.
Good to meet you. Thank you.
All right. Bye.